everyone's ears out. All right. Yeah, so happy Friday, everyone. I'm thinking of using Fridays as kind of a time to just mess around with either one of my other prototypes or make a new one, of course. So you can see I've got a lot of Unreal projects. And yeah, so I think what I want to do, kind of an old standby, is I don't think I can find it anymore. It might be this project called Nebulas. I wonder what will happen if we load it up. Let's see. Do I even have 4.27 still? Yeah, okay, let's try. I have like a spaceship controller that's really cool, but I was thinking this morning I might just try to create a new spaceship controller, but yeah, this is it, I think. Yeah, this might be like 2 years old, but it was a cool project. So kind of a continuation of what I was doing in Unity. So you see I got like my kind of old spaceship model, and I think this has like a cockpit that you can, yeah. So you can like kind of see in the cockpit. And I've got these planets that are like low poly planets. I really like the look of them. And then in the background you can see I had this star system that I sort of tried to pixelate the nebulas, because I don't know, sometimes like having like a super realistic space scene and then having like low poly everything else kind of doesn't make sense. So anyway, it's funny, in my old Unity projects, there was kind of like a simple solution to creating kind of a space scene that I got used to, and I think a lot of other people probably got used to too, which is that you create basically two cameras and you layer them on top of each other. So these planets would be on one layer, then the player would be on a different layer, and then you can kind of parallax the movement of the cameras so that like the second camera, that was the planet camera, could be like super close up to the big stuff. So you didn't have to have a giant planet, you could just have a planet that was like a normal sized game object, but like with the camera so close and then layered on top of the other camera, it would look like you were, in orbit. Like, and then this planet would stay pretty stationary in your view. So Unreal doesn't have that layering system, at least not that I know of. But it also has like a lot bigger environments, and it has it set up to do kind of the floating point adjustment with the large world settings or whatever. So yeah, I believe this is my like center of I guess it's the planets that every planet has a 0-0 origin, so like the Earth probably has one too, and then that's used to kind of create that Unity effect. Let's see, instead of me just talking, let's see how it works. Man, it's been a while since I've used the 4.27 interface. Yeah, new window. All right. I don't know how loud that is. the AI is super aggressive. So just remembering the controls and stuff. So it looks like shift will give me a little bit of a boost. Whoa, this guy's really after me. Oh, this guy too. So it doesn't look like my life is working. I wonder if that definitely worked at one time. Oh, looks like someone exploded, so. And you can see like pieces of the spaceship. All right. And then this is my like low poly cockpit. So the controls for this are just like mouse is doing this kind of floaty rotation. I think there's probably a way to drift too. Was it spacebar? Yeah. So I don't know if you saw that, but if I go forward like this, then I press spacebar, we're still drifting. All right, I've gotten away from the enemies. Or they killed each other, I don't know. Oh, they found me. They just hit me, okay. There you go. All right, so I was very proud of this zoom in, zoom out. Can kind of do a barrel roll here. I don't know. In third person mode, I kind of feel like the barrel roll should just be on the ship. But in when you're in the cockpit, you're kind of like you need to be able to barrel roll, right? So anyway, that's where I got to. I forget how long ago this project was, but it was obviously before the 5 release. But I have some pretty cool setup in here. I feel like I've done a lot of stuff in Unreal at this point that I'm not sure I'd go back to this controller and be like, yes, this is how I want to play. Also, like, there's like just some insane folders going on here. Let's see. All right, yeah, I tried to do like that, like a setup for each section, I guess, in here. I still do some of this. There's a bunch of different literature out there about like how you should organize your scripts. I like to organize my stuff now with like kind of the art files and the sound files in their own folders and not like in like a spaceship folder, because when you're using GitHub and Git large file storage, you need to separate those folders so that you can make sure they're going to the right repo. Or else you have to, I guess, update a file by hand every time you add a new resource. All right. So like we have some cool blueprints in here too. We've got this like hard point. Let's see. Okay. So yeah. So one of the issues is like this blueprint here. This blueprint folder just has hard point, space location, waypoint, and the camera shake blueprint. So everything else is like spread out. Another thing at the time that I was doing was there's this core folder, which I still have a core folder, but what this core folder is supposed to have is like all of like the base classes. And then the idea is that you'd have base classes in the core, and then you'd have a ship folder with like a child of that. So like maybe you'd make your base spaceship, and then enemies and everything could all be built-in child classes in their own folders, but the core folder wouldn't be touched, and that would be like very specific gameplay that you would, if other designers could come in and make their own enemies and stuff. But I guess I didn't do it there, but that's what that core folder is supposed to be about. And but I kind of like having base stuff in with the main stuff. So obviously I've got several versions in here. There's also the cockpit here. I think I was trying to make a battleship or something, which I probably have in here because I remember making videos of it. So I'm guessing BP base ship is probably the parent class, but then there's this player ship. We should be able to find out actually what we're using. So yeah, we're using base player ship for our thing, and then we're using the flying game mode, which is probably just modified from the Unreal Engine 4 flying game mode, which I don't think exists in Unreal Engine 5, but it's okay. It wasn't that great, the flying stuff, the flying samples. Okay, so if you are new to Unreal, you would maybe look at this and go, what is happening here? So this is a child class. So I actually don't have much custom stuff in here. And you can see on the side here, we have inherited everything except for the fighter pilot, which is not in. I don't know why we call it the fighter. Oh, fighter no pilot. Never mind. Anyway, I think this is the mesh. Well, I guess this is the mesh. This is pieces of the mesh. And then there's also a cockpit mesh here. All right, let's see. What else do we have? There are hard points on here, which is cool. There's a whole attachments section. And then I believe these hard points are the arrows. But like the idea was that, I'd set these up somewhere on the mesh for real, and then we would add guns to the ship so you could customize your ship, right? And when you're playing the game, you can actually see this. You'll see, look, there's guns on the side here. And those are not they're not like a part of the ship. So like if we go into selected viewport and we eject out, you can see they're kind of like, they're not even attached, I don't think, to the ship here. So and the AI ones have them like all the way out on the side there, so kind of weird. But yeah, that's what those hard points do. So currently they're showing up there, but like the idea would be we'd figure out the collisions and things like that and make it so they would work. Yeah, so let's go to the parent, because obviously all of the stuff that makes this thing work is in there. I'm not even sure controls are in this, so let's see. Let's open it up. I think I used the controller. All right, look at this. It's not actually that bad. Yeah, old Mike was pretty organized, at least for this project. I don't like to be like super organized when I'm like prototyping, so but if I spend enough time in a project, I try to make it so that I can figure out what's going on. So the samurai project that I'm working on right now is getting to a point where I need to start making it look pretty, and like kind of make sure the systems that I created are scalable, which sometimes when you're making a prototype and you just want stuff on the screen, you make things that you're not going to be able to modify in the future. So you might have to reimagine them, which is painful when you have a game that actually is working and you're having fun playing it. So we'll tread carefully. We have source control. It's not too bad. Yeah, so anyway, in the ship base class, which is used by the enemies and the player, I should point out. Like if we, I guess they're all called big ships. So these are all AI characters. So if we go in here and we look, their parent class is the base class, but they've got this hitbox, I guess. What else do they have? Now this is messy. Here we go. Excellent. I'm guessing I did not create a behavior tree for this, but let's see. So on begin play, it's looking for a waypoint. It flies to the waypoint. It can change the target. It equips the weapons on start. And then on the event tick, which I think I would probably use a timer for this probably at this point in time, but I don't know. There's a lot of superstition around event ticks and when it should be used, so this might be not a great thing to do, but this was like a fast way to make an AI that does stuff. So I actually used a blueprint component here. Actually I have two, which is interesting. I don't know why this one. Is this AI or something? All right, we'll look at it in a second. It's an actor component, blueprint component. Huh. Okay, so anyway, just like in all the Unreal examples, there's like a character movement controller, so I created my own controller for the ship stuff. So that's where a lot of the movement control comes from, which is, I don't know, I was very impressed with myself when I did that. And then all this other logic is here to try to figure out like where the enemy is and how to turn. So it's like looking for the, is the target to the right, is the target forward, is the target up? And then it kind of tries to adjust the pitch and the yaw based on that, I think. And whether to fire. Kind of simple AI here. And some of this could be controlled in a behavior tree or something, so. Like here's a function to find whether the target is to your right. I suppose it would also find if your target is to the left by returning whatever this value is, positive or negative. Yeah, so there's some cool logic in here actually. This is interesting. Okay, so yeah, some of this stuff is lost to time, I think, if I don't. But I kind of want to open this up and see. Okay, so the player has like nothing in it, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And the base ship has a bunch of stuff. So base ship equips weapons. It's interesting that the base ship does this and then the AI does it separately. I don't quite understand what's happening here, but we're equipping the weapons, and those weapons are stored in this weapon class, I guess. And right now there's just a BP weapon in there. I guess that you can have different weapons. If you're confused right now, it's because I wrote this code a long time ago, so now I'm just trying to figure out what I did. So in here we have the ship movement. We have some stuff for playing the engine sounds. I guess that's all that we're doing in there. And we have a couple different types of movement controls. So we have a like an impulse thruster, so like strafing side to side, and then we have throttle. And I think if you switch between them, you can get different things. So there's our rotation input. So yeah, all this stuff is on the old input system too, which should have to change. Lots of sound stuff. There's the booster, which is like the shift button. Inertial dampening, which is the drift when you press spacebar. Alright, I feel like this damage system is disconnected. Which it might be. It's definitely not showing up on the UI, so who knows. Do I have like an invulnerability thing in here? Maybe I don't. This deflect while colliding is, I think, right out of the old flying blueprint. So we have a fire. So these are actually input actions, so that's interesting. Like I would probably separate this out of the base class and just have it be an event for firing, so that like, because this probably has a fire event too, right? Probably doesn't need to have it on both places. I guess what we're just doing it all in the tick event here. Start firing. And you can see we're actually using this weapon blueprint, which gets attached to the thing, and then inside that we have a thing. So this is a weapon blueprint here. There's a picture of it. It's got a muzzle flash, and basically we just add this to the ships. And so like there's a start firing, which just uses a loop of a timer to fire the gun. It's a little complicated, I guess, because it's using this timer. And I forget why I had this loop like that, but we have a loop like that. Definitely for like cooldown rates and stuff, you need some sort of way to prevent them from continuing to fire. You could have like a check at the beginning of this to just say do once until it resets. But you see here there's like ordnance class, so every gun can have a, so there's weapon stats here, so these are kind of like the defaults for whatever the base weapon is. So you have like an ordnance, and I guess it can be any type of, currently it can be any type of class, but we have a projectile class. So I think you know, the idea would be you could change the make a child class of the projectile to be different things. That's a pattern I usually use. But this has like rate of fire, spread amount, pretty cool. something to show that muzzle flash back and forth. And then it just, when it starts, it hides the muzzle flash, but yeah, it even does. It checks, it sets the projectile spawns, because, you know, the gun could be customizable, right? So there's one projectile spawn in here, but there could be more, right? So it could be like a double-barreled gun or something. All right. So yeah, so these are actually all, and then yeah, I even created just the V button is what does this really cool, or what I think is cool, zoom in and zoom out of the ship, which basically modifies the spring arm for the camera. I don't know, I thought it was cool. I would definitely put that in again. Switching between third and cockpit, like a lot of people, you know, they like different versions of the games, right? There's a ton of people who like to play the game while watching their ship. I like both, but I do like the visibility that I get, I think, from having a third-person perspective. And sometimes it's cool just to see your ship, especially when you're customizing it or you want to take a screenshot. So let's go into to the settings. How do I get to those now? In this here. I want to see the inputs to see if there's any other buttons that were. So we have boost, we've got cut engines, which is backspace. We've got inertial dampening. Oh, I have gamepad control set up too. Let's keep going. Okay, so max throttle. Half throttle. So we've got some, like, you know, engine cutting stuff here. Got a secondary weapon. I don't think that works. Target enemy in view. So some of these things I probably don't have actually set up, but it was like, I'm gonna have this in the game. So we've got pitch, yaw, throttle. Got this all set up for all sorts of crazy stuff here. I think some of this was like just built into the flying thing anyway, but I'm using up and down. Throttle is the bottom end, so it would be like on this controller, I guess the bottom is the throttle up, and then the right button, which is B on this controller, would be the like brake. That makes sense in my head. I don't know if it makes sense in a final game, but we got roll, which we're just using the stick for. Interesting. We got strafe, which is only on the keyboard, and we have thrust, only on the keyboard. So it looks like the controller is kind of a throttle only. Like you could put the strafe on the bumpers, right? I don't know. Let's want to see how that works. Okay. All right. So with the controller, right now I have up for up and down for down, so I immediately want to flip the axis, invert the axis for the controls when I'm using a controller. It's fine on the mouse. I feel like it's intuitive to push up to turn up, but like on a stick, it's always the opposite for some reason. Yeah, so that's why I'm having a hard time controlling. So then I can cut my engines. So the green, I think the green on the, did I blow up, but I didn't really blow up, or did someone blow up next to me? I guess one thing to note too is I think I was explaining it before, but the planets have their own kind of like, let's pretend we have kind of the double camera set up for. Now my orientation is all crazy. Okay. All right, doesn't really matter. Okay. So these planets are set up to like just basically update their position based on where the character is, so they always stay in the same place. Yeah. All right, so that's the player. Let's just quickly dive. I didn't do a lot of actual programming in this this live stream, but I think yeah, kind of like reviving this project for like my like little mini project would be kind of fun, because I think I need to focus on smaller scale stuff like the samurai game. You know, a space game like this is just a huge undertaking, but I would love to get back to work on the space game. All right, so the question is, if the ships just have this, the blueprints just have hard points and things like that, where, and the weapons just have a weapon. So it's quite possible that I created a asset for my flying controller, which is this. Yeah, one of my dreams is just to have like a library of things to be able to just import into a game, right? So like I've created this movement actor component, right? And I don't have to make it again, but I don't know, I probably have to make it again. Anyway, what does this have in it? It's got all sorts of good stuff. So the first thing it does is just figure out who owns the actor component, and then on the tick it updates the forward movement, the rotate ship, and the move ship. I wonder if this is how like the Unreal character movement controllers work, but maybe they work on a more of an event-based thing. But one thing with this is like when there's a throttle, you have to move, right? But anyway, it calls these things. So the movement and then move ship are separate because we have to calculate our vector, right? I guess this is only calculating our forward movement. Okay. So maybe move ship is taking all the different vectors together, including the forward. It's interesting that I have a separate one for forward vector, but so we have like this component handles like the inertial dampening, and these are all variables, right? So you have all these different parameters, current setup, some things related to the controls, and then these things are all adjusted by the component, the actor that's actually implementing this component, right? So this is like the toggle inertial dampening, and I even have notes for myself. That's nice. Okay. We have get directional movement, so this is like kind of taking all the different thrusts, right? Because we can be thrusting up and down and sideways, and if we're depending on the inertia dampening setting, you could be like sliding and things like that. So this is actually not a bad script. So I don't know. I might revisit this this component because it kind of has a lot of stuff that I would want sorted out, I think. So thanks, old me. This is good. Okay. So lots of variables. And then, yeah, I have, so I've got a couple just like ones that hadn't been categorized, like toggle inertial dampening and set all movement to 0. But then, see, we have external scripts. So these are all the functions that we would call from our class that's implementing this component. So we have update pitch, update yaw, update roll, update throttle. So these are all the things that the player class, well, not the player class, the base ship is doing inside these inputs, right? So input action boost. Let's see. Rotation, yeah, so like update pitch, update yaw, update roll. So these are being called on the AC movement, which is the BP movement. So wait, what is the, oh yeah, it is called AC ship movement. Good, okay. So actor component. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess I just named it BP ship movement. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, it's the same thing. I think the enemies have like a duplicate instance or something weird. I don't know why. That's odd. It's the same thing. So anyway, again, this project's kind of was in a state of randomness, but yeah. So I really like this this actor component. It's kind of the way that Unreal does some of its character stuff. So that's kind of why I went this way with it. So yeah, so we have these external things, right? So I have those set up to, there's nothing stopping whatever actor uses this to do the internal functions, but I just had it set up so that like these, because they're named in a way that you might say, oh, well, I want to rotate the ship, I'll call the rotate ship function, but the rotate ship actually doesn't like take anything. It's just an update class, right? These are the ones that update the whole thing, whereas these are the ones that take the input, and then when these things run, they actually update the ship movement. So yeah. So that's cool. I wonder what else I have in here. Yeah, so I added a bunch of random asset packs to this. This background is like a star sphere asset pack, which I like. They kind of have some components in here to do things like this locks the sphere so that it stays with the user, with the player. I don't know if there are better ways to do that. I know you can set things to be like the skybox or whatever. So and this like does some scaling. This is in the construction script. It aligns stuff. Oh, okay, it's aligning some decals. So yeah, so this has like a planet in it and the nebulas. I forget how I made it pixelated. So yeah. Yeah, making like a space sky sphere. Man, this is jank. There's something I've changed in here that... I'm almost like, can I just enable Blender controls right now? Anyway. What else do we have in here? So that's our ship controller. So I don't know if I pulled this in from another project or I just kept it separate from the game. I don't think I have another project for this. But there are some other cool... So this is Star Sphere Nebula. Let's see if any of these other ones are broken. I'm not going to save anything. This one is compiling shaders. So there's some cool Nebula asset packs too, but they're not always performant. Is this going to work? What is this? Well, there's no enemies. That's kind of nice. It's kind of got a weird vibe here. Oh, there's an enemy. Never mind. What is it? Where are you? Oh, there you are. So yeah, I'm using like a dust particle system for the starry dust, I guess. You can see it generates slowly around the character, but when you're like stuck in one place, it... Okay. Ooh, yeah, look at that. All right, all these errors. Okay. So that's 2. So that's just like a copy, I guess. What's the difference between this one and this one? Oh, this one says no neb. That's why. Don't save. Don't save. I just... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Ah, this one has asteroids. That's cool. Ah, and there's a nebula. Yes, this is one of the nebula. It's called Nebula in Starfield, and they have like 2 different versions of this. I don't know if they still work in 5, but I think what I ended up doing was going and using the kind of like the old version, because the new version was, I think, using a lot of like ray marching or something really performance heavy that, while it looks really awesome, would be impossible for a game, I think, but this turned out really well. I don't know how they do it. Should we try to play while the shaders are compiling? Oh, I can wait. We can open up the blueprint for this. So it's like this big sphere that you can... I think it looks really great, even as the, quote, older version. All right. But you are limited to an area, I think, so that's one thing to think about. All right, I don't know. There's some errors. There's lighting needs to be rebuilt, but let's just... So you can see. And it does have a little bit... You know, you can fly through it, so it's pretty cool. I haven't like done extensive, you know, play testing in a Nebula type of format, so I know in some of the old versions like lighting doesn't work properly and stuff like this. There's also this like pop-in, which kind of doesn't look super great, but So they'll get enveloped by the nebula in a non-fadey type of way. I don't know. But look at how cool that looks. So yeah, I think that's the fog maybe that's doing that. It might not even be the nebula asset actually. I probably have like a whole bunch of fog in here. I have a post-processing volume. Maybe it is the nebula that's doing this. Let's look. Is there a fog? No fog. Depth of field. There's bloom. Huh. Is there no global fog actor in here? There's a battleship. Where's that? It's pretty far out. Let's put him in the center. Let's slide him out a little bit so I'm not on top of him. Check that out. I was very proud of this ship too, actually. We're gonna crash into him. Okay. I mean, come on. Look at this thing. And yeah, this kind of stylized spaceship style would be probably where I would head in a space game. I feel like my art pipeline is pretty, I'm not going to say fast actually, but it's definitely speedier than if I try to do things super high def and like, you know, get the subscription to Substance Painter again and all that stuff. So I think I would be going for a low poly style if I was going to do it again. So yeah, that's why like this planet I would want to make into a low poly planet. But check this guy out, huh? Pretty cool. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, so the nebula is pretty neat too, so I don't know, I might re-explore that again as well to see kind of what I can do with it. Alright. This is my no nebula planet test. Let's see. I think this might be the last thing to look at before we close down for the day. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming over the weekend. Maybe. If I do, it will be Saturday morning and Sunday morning, but like around like 8 a.m. or something, not 6 a.m. So this is the Make is the creator. He made these really cool high def planets. This one's a lava planet, which is pretty neat. Yeah, his stuff is really cool. I found that I ended up, I don't think it was his planet, well maybe it was his Planet V2 asset was like crushing my computer, but it might have been my old computer. Like this is from 4.27 and I did a full rebuild of my PC when I upgraded to 5, so it's possible that all of his assets would be fine now. Look at that. It's got like clouds on it. I don't know if you can see that, it's pretty subtle. But then it's got that cool lava effect. So. But can you land on it? No. No, you cannot land on it. So, yeah. If anyone has any tips for creating custom skyboxes that look like the original home world, that is not the one kind of explainer, not really a tutorial, blog post that I already know about, hit me up. Because, yeah, I think one of the biggest problems I have with a low poly space game is I don't know what to do with the space. With I think some sort of gradient skybox that looks cool is probably where to go, with a little bit of nebula clouds, kind of like House of the Dying Sun. I really like that vibe, so that'd be where I'd probably go. But I currently don't really know how to do that, so I need to research more. Look at how big this guy is. That's actually probably really big. If you were to stick I don't know if we have a third person character on here. Probably not. Could probably look for it though. Let's see. I mean, it's in the engine, right? Let's go SK, maybe. No. There's a way to... In Unreal Engine 4, you had to manually set up the ability to look at the engine files. So what is... Yeah, I don't have a character in here, but you could, I could just add a cube right now, right? Let's see. Oh wait, there's an empty character. Oh, it's just empty though. But you can see this is a player character right here. Pretty small. I made it so that, I don't know, this would be a pretty small command center probably, but you could look out this window, right? It would fit. So this is pretty big, big spaceship. When you're flying around in your fighter and going really fast, you don't really realize how big stuff is, but yeah, just imagine strafing this thing, right? Pretty cool. Ah, there's a glitch here. Yeah, hopefully my Blender skills have gotten a little bit better since I made this thing, but can I make this again? I don't know what these are for, intakes, or maybe we can release fighters from it or something. I built these turrets right onto the ship, but I would probably keep these separate, and all these are all turret emplacements probably. Yeah, this would be pretty brutal to fight, I bet. Alright, well I think I'm gonna wrap it here because I gotta get ready for the day. But yeah, so let's say next Friday I think I'm going to start a new project, and I may base it on my ship movement component idea. I don't know, I feel like this is pretty cool. I almost want to put this out into the world for people to use. I wonder if it's good enough. We need more Unreal-based space games. And then someone else could be working on one and tell me how to make a space skybox properly. All right. Well, if you're watching this, thanks for tuning in. And have a great weekend. Thanks a lot.